Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about taking complicated reports and turning them into stories you can actually understand. And today, we are digging into Welltower's latest results. But trust me, this isn't just about spreadsheets and numbers. It's about a huge, massive change happening in our society. All right, so before we get into any of Welltower's numbers, we've got to talk about something much, much bigger. There's this massive demographic wave building, and it's lifting their entire industry. And this isn't some short-term thing. This is a fundamental shift in our world.
And just look at the speed of this thing. Between 2025 and 2030, the 80-plus population is going to be the fastest growing age group in the country. We're talking 5% growth every single year. That creates a need for specialized housing and care that's just, well, it's unprecedented.
But here's the other side of that coin, and this is really important. Right when that demand is about to explode, the traditional way we've handled care is shrinking. The number of family members who are available to take care of each senior is literally falling off a cliff. And that growing gap, that's the problem companies like Welltower were built to solve. So you see this huge demographic trend, but how does that actually turn into a business? Okay, let's break down exactly what Welltower does and how it's set up to meet all this new demand. At its heart, Welltower is basically a giant, super specialized landlord. It owns a huge collection of buildings specifically designed for older adults and for healthcare. And because it's a special type of company called a real estate investment trust, or a REIT, it's actually structured to pass a big chunk of its profits directly to its investors through dividends. You know, the business model itself is actually pretty simple. Welltower owns the physical buildings, the actual real estate, and really good locations. Then they bring in top-notch partners, the best in the business, to manage the day-to-day for the residents. Welltower's job? They just collect the profits that the property generates. Now, as we get into the results, you're going to hear two terms a lot, so let's just make it simple. Net operating income, or NOI, just think of that as the profit from an individual building. And funds from operations, or FFO, that's the key number for the whole company's cash flow. That's the engine that pays the dividends to shareholders. So here's the crucial thing. Welltower isn't just sitting around collecting rent checks. Not at all. They have a very active, very deliberate strategy for growth that they call their flywheel. The whole idea of a flywheel is that each part makes the others stronger. Their data science helps them find the absolute best properties. Then they put the best operators in charge of those properties. They give those operators special tools to run things better and more efficiently. That leads to fantastic results, which attracts more investment, which lets them buy even more great properties. You see? It's a cycle that just keeps feeding itself and getting stronger. Okay, so that's the story, that's the strategy, but did it actually work in the second quarter of 2025? Well, in a word, absolutely. I mean, this wasn't just a good quarter. This was one of those quarters that serves as proof. It's powerful evidence that their big picture story and their day-to-day strategy are both firing on all cylinders. The numbers really do speak for themselves. Let's start with the profits at the property level. For their main seniors housing business, that net operating income we talked about, it jumped a massive 23.4% compared to last year. I mean, think about that for a second. That's just an incredible level of growth. And that success, of course, flowed right down to the bottom line. The company's overall cash flow, that FFO number, shot up by almost 22% per share. And remember, that's the engine that drives returns for shareholders. So with all that cash pouring in, what did the board of directors do? Well, they gave a big thank you to their investors, announcing a dividend increase of more than 10%. That's a direct return of that success right back to their partners. And this slide right here, wow, this shows you the secret sauce. Look at this. The money they brought in for each room grew by almost 5%, but their expenses for each room barely moved, up just 0.2%. That huge gap between the two, that's pure profit margin expansion. It's beautiful. And get this, maybe the most impressive part of all. They delivered all of this explosive growth while actually making their finances safer. Their debt level is now at the lowest point in the company's entire history. That's just amazing discipline. So this incredible quarter wasn't just some lucky break. No way. It's the result of a really powerful and lasting competitive advantage, one that seems to be getting stronger every single day. Let's look at where they sit in the market. What you're looking at here is a classic, powerful economic setup. On one side, you have demand that is structurally, absolutely guaranteed to rise for years and years because of demographics. And on the other side, you have new supply that's getting choked off because of basic economics. To put it simply, it just doesn't make any financial sense for developers to build new seniors housing communities right now. It's just crazy expensive. Between construction costs and high interest rates, a builder would have to charge rents almost double what they are today just to break even. And that makes Welltower's existing high-quality buildings incredibly valuable. So, because of this amazing market position, management is feeling pretty confident. They came out and significantly raised their profit forecast for the rest of 2025. That's a huge signal that they see all this powerful momentum continuing right through the end of the year. All right, let's zoom out one last time. Because beyond the quarterly numbers, beyond the market dynamics, it's really important to understand the company's core philosophy. What's in their DNA? This quote from a letter they wrote to their shareholders really says it all. They don't see investors as just people trading a stock ticker. They see you as a partner in their business. Their focus isn't on the daily wiggles of the stock market, but on making smart decisions that will build value for years, even decades to come. So, we've walked through the huge forces that are shaping this market and looked at how one company is positioned to ride that wave. And it leaves us with a final question for you to think about. As this whole demographic story plays out over the next 10, 20 years, what does it really mean to be a partner in a business built to serve such an unstoppable need?